you have me here, I'll just How about now? That sounds better. All right. I'm just about to tell everybody to turn off their cell phone when mine starts to ring. So goodbye. Restarting. Tell Barry Leah. Get it on off or vibrate for that very reason. Okay, thank you. Sorry my mic didn't work there earlier. I didn't have it on for a reason I can't explain on the microphones here. Red is the on and green is the off. But we just have to remember that somehow. Yeah. So is there I'm going to ask first of all our clerk to call the roll.
Magistrate Likens. Magistrate Tice. Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins. Magistrate Dye.
Here.
Magistrate Logston. Judge Vogel.
Hey, here. Having 8 of the 9 members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
Second.
Any additions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Yes, sir.
What did you say about the light? The lights are reversed now? I didn't catch that last part.
Red is your microphone is on. Green, it's off. You don't have a green? What color do you have? None. Okay. Well,
Out there.
It's danger.
So, yeah. Well, that's right. Microphones can be pretty dangerous.
Red means usually stop and think about what you're going to say.
Okay, so we'll have Denise Clark read the minutes from our last meeting, which was, I think, on the 3rd of August.
The Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brenda Likens, Wayne Tice, Kevin Woosley, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hound, Stephanie Hawkins, Bob Dye, and Michael Logston. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to approve the agenda with the deletion of the Southern Health Partners Agreement and the addition of the SRO School Resource Officer Program Agreement with the Oldham County Board of Education as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to approve the meeting minutes from July 20th, 2021, as submitted with the correction to a time of 9 a.m. in regards to the tax sale in the public comment section on page 326, and to include on page 328 that BPM was the most responsive bidder for demolition of 6533 Jacob Drive, Westport, as the CD LLC bid was not complete. Motion carried unanimously. Oldham County Health Department Director Matt Rhodes provided an update on COVID-19 and the COVID-19 vaccine campaign in Oldham County. County Clerk Julie Barr made a public comment voicing her concern of the extension of the compensation tax on persons earning wages and salaries within the city of LaGrange, Kentucky, which Mayor John Black has expressed his desire to continue, even though Ordinance Number 8, Series 2013 specifically states it is to expire after the debt related to the Oldham Reserve property is paid in full. Oldham Tourism Executive Director Kim Buckler-Hides made the following public comments. Volunteers are needed to work the Oldham County booth at the Kentucky State Fair from August 19th through the 29th, 2021. Volunteers' admission and parking fees will be paid for working a 4-hour shift. Call 817-6043 or 222-0056 to sign up to volunteer. The Hometown Tourist Program will run from August 1st through September 30th. Details of the program can be found at touroldham.com. The new tourism brochures were presented, and the purchase of a tourism shuttle bus is requested to continue the growth of tourism in Oldham County. Chief Hewitt Brown presented information relating to the North Oldham Fire Protection District fiscal year 21-22, that budget and ad valorem tax rate, which we kept at the same rate of 9 cents per $100 of assessed value. Chief Brown responded to questions from the court. Motion made by Magistrate Hawkins and seconded by Magistrate Logston to authorize payment of the payables as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the School Resource Officer Program Agreement with the Oldham County Board of Education as submitted. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hawkins and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the Memorandum of Understanding with Louisville Water for the South Highway 1694 Water Main Extension Project funding as submitted. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Woosley upon recommendation from the county engineer to release the $70,395 erosion control bond as it relates to Cardin Farm Entrance Road as submitted. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to hire Matt Jones to the Road Department as Equipment Operator 2 at $19 an hour, effective 8/9/21 as submitted. Judge Vogel announced the resignation of Kevin Alexander from the Road Department, effective 8/12/2021. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting adjourned at 3:38 p.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from August 3rd. Is there a motion to accept? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to the first item on our agenda today, and I'm going to invite Matt Rhodes, who is the director of the Oldham County Health Department, to bring us up to date on the standing of COVID-19 and the Delta variant in the community, and then the other information that the health department would like to present at this time.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the invite back. You might recall 2 weeks ago when I presented information, I shared that the Delta variant was a variant of concern. It had been identified here locally, and our case counts were increasing. And I'm going to share today that trend is continuing. Just quickly, I'm not going to go through all the slides, but just show you an update. We've had 86 deaths here locally and 8,243 cases, case fatality rate of 1.0%. Our population here in Oldham County is a fairly healthy population as compared to the rest of the state. And as you can see, the state case fatality rate is 1.4%. And the United States case fatality rate is 1.7. This again is just a reminder of our high case count back around the first of the year. This week here was an anomaly. We had a data dump for a bunch of lab reports. Most likely should have been spread out over these few weeks. It hit on this one day and we had a spike that 1 week. The case count, as you can currently see, is trending up. We're closing in on 200 cases per week. I'll share that in another slide, which represents a bar graph, but because I want to show it in comparison to where we have been and not show stats that just look alarming, I wanted to share it for comparison purposes. This again is just this year, a look at the data, and you can see here locally, or here lately, I should say, we are seeing exponential growth week over week. This is the trend over year comparison. The light blue line is the case count for the current year. The dark blue or the larger bar graphs are for last year. And you can see we're trending up. The current week represents or shows a downturn because, quite frankly, we've only had a day for this week. So it's not a fully reported week. We start reporting the data on day 1, but you don't get a full count until day 7. And this is a total overlay of our cases. That's confirmed cases and probable cases. This is the age distribution for individuals here in Oldham County. And if I can switch over quickly, I will go to a state representation of the data currently. This is what's happening in the state of Kentucky. And as you can see, back here around the first of the year, we had our high case count. In the state of Kentucky now, you can see exponential growth week over week. And that case count is 17,900, almost 18,000 cases for last week. So we're about 2/3 to where we were at the peak of the height of our case counts in the state of Kentucky. I want to show you this map. This is a map that shows the incident rate. You can see that Oldham County is in the red zone here. We were not 2 weeks ago as I shared this information. I was talking about the transmission rate and the incident rate. The transmission rate is a model that the CDC uses. For a high transmission rate, according to the CDC's model, you need about 67 cases a week for Oldham County. This map and this methodology represents about 119 cases a week. So this methodology is less restrictive and gives us a little more leeway when we're measuring the red zone. I want to share with you, as it relates to test positivity, I think this may be an indication that more people that are symptomatic are getting tested and they suspect to be sick, but our positivity rate for testing is going up in the state of Kentucky. The deaths have not increased according to the increase in case counts, but usually there's a 2 to 3 week lag as it relates to deaths following increased case counts. And just information that I think you all would find interesting. This is our hospital data for inpatient census. You can see an almost vertical climb over the last 4 weeks, and we're almost to hit our peak where we were back in January. The ICU census, you're seeing the same thing. And patient on ventilators, you're seeing the same thing. And this is a slide of concern. I want you all to notice in 2 regions, in 8 and 10, this is hospital capacity. In those 2 regions, over 80% of their ICU beds are taken currently. And as case counts continue to increase, it may become a concern for us in this region. You can see in region 3, which is highlighted in blue, that our ICU beds are at 63.2%. But you need to also take into account that just because you have beds, you may not have staff availability. And what we're hearing in our healthcare industries is that they're having shortages of staff because of burnout, and people are starting to leave the industry because of concern of just having burnout. And I want to share just what it looks like locally. This is age distribution data from June 6th here for Oldham County. And as I said, I wanted to show this bar graph in comparison to the previous bar graph, but you can see this distinguishes between 18 and over, and then our pediatric cases. The orange represents 12 to 17. The blue is 11 and under. Those individuals are not eligible for vaccine. You can see exponential growth week over week. Last week, we had 165 cases, with 126 being 18 and over and 39 being under the age of 18. The descriptive statistics here: over 18, 402, 146 under 18, 548 total cases. That equates to your pediatric rate being about 26.7% of your total cases over the last 11 weeks. That's a typo there, I apologize. We've had 14 hospitalizations, the age range being from 2 to 78. 13 of those were adults, 1 was a PEDS case. None of those 14 were vaccinated. Of course, the PEDS case was not eligible for vaccine. 13 of those cases were identified as symptomatic, and 1 case has been lost to follow-up, and unfortunately, we have had 1 death. And this shows the breakthrough cases for those people that have been vaccinated. It's about 18.4% over the last 11 weeks. And what that speaks to is the contagiousness of this Delta variant and the fact that people that have been vaccinated are also suspect to contract the disease. And then this is just a breakdown of the variants of concern, and you can see that the Delta variant, there's been 15 cases identified here of the Delta variant. This does not represent all cases because all of the lab specimens are not sent off for genomic sequencing. It just indicates that the variants of concern are here local and something that we all need to be aware of. I'm sure that you all have heard a lot of the news that has been shared week over week. In regards to the different concerns around the Delta variant, I've shared it the last several times that I've been here, and I just wanted to share that the case counts are continuing to increase. There's a risk associated with the Delta variant that we haven't seen before. And you all are probably aware of the fact that we had a Board of Health meeting on August the 9th. As a result of this data being made the following recommendation. Number 1, get vaccinated. Number 2, wear a mask in indoor public places. Number 3, practice social distancing. And number 4, avoid social activities with unvaccinated persons, especially if you are medically vulnerable. With that, I'll take questions.
All right, thank you. I did post those, what I thought was those recommendations. One of the things I had on the sign outside the building here was avoid unvaccinated individuals. Of course, what you just read is much longer than can be put on a 4x8 or 2x4 sign. Got quite a bit of blowback from people who felt that was Star of David or some type of negative, identification we were putting with people. You can't always tell who's vaccinated, who's not. Maybe you do know in your family who is or who isn't, or among neighbors or friends to be careful with. This entire thing is a Rubik's Cube of people not having opinions. Some opinions are professional, some are uneducated, some are self-educated, as one person told me. So we've heard it all. I got quite a bit of flack about putting out that sign from people who were offended by that, but we do not require a mask to come in this building, although you're wearing one. Several people in our auditorium are wearing one. You see the fiscal court is not wearing any, so I don't know, maybe we have different opinions about how this should go. None of them are conclusively, maybe somebody says this is going to work, this doesn't. I've had to say that you wear a mask. The N95 that is the only one that really works. I don't know that's to be the case. Somebody told me, well, you can wear a mask, but if somebody by you is smoking a cigarette, that smoke is going to go right through that mask, and you're going to get a whiff of it. Don't know if it's true or not, but I'm sure you've received many calls. The health department, apologize for any of them I may have sent your way, because I did say these were health department recommendations I was trying to support. Plus the fact there was confusion in the past. Can you come in this building with or without a mask? At this point, you can't. You can. So it's up to each individual to do the best they can for themselves. I'll open this up to other questions, but I think there's been a lot of controversy, as you know, around our schools. Kids wear masks. Is a mask beneficial to everyone? Does it harm those who don't have it, that are breathing their own, it's not carbon dioxide, it's
Monoxide.
Carbon monoxide, right?
Monoxide is what we
You
exhale.
breathe out. You're right. Now I get those mixed up. But if you're exposed in school to someone who has COVID, are we asking everybody who's been exposed to be quarantined?
No, sir, that's one of the benefits of wearing a mask. If an individual who is a case is in the school and an individual that's a contact of that case, if they're wearing a mask, then they will not have to be quarantined so long as they're outside of 3 feet, a 3-foot diameter around the individual. Previously, that guidance was 6 feet. So, and if they had a mask on, they still had to quarantine if they were within 4 or 5 feet. Now that has been contracted to 3 feet. This is how science works. The evidence indicates that those children that were in school last year that were contacts to cases that were outside of that 3-foot distance largely did not contract the disease once they were quarantined. So now it shows that wearing masks will largely prevent the transmission of disease between those kids so long as they're separated by 3 feet or more. So wearing a mask will actually prevent them from being quarantined. And if they weren't wearing masks, and they would have a 6-foot requirement, and largely if someone came into that classroom that was a case that didn't have a mask on, and everyone in the classroom chose not to wear a mask, you'd probably have to quarantine the entire class. And that's what they found out over in southern Indiana, in a jurisdiction where I think 8 days into school, they had quarantined 1,100 children. So my primary goal this year was to have children safely in class for in-person instruction, and I think that's the best way to do it.
Magistrate here, Hawkins.
Thank you for being here again. You spoke on the genome consistency is not sent off regarding the presence of the Delta variant. So would it be fair to say that the whole Delta variant scenario is kind of a scare tactic if it's illegitimately verified, right? Genome consistency isn't consistently verified.
Would not be safe to say it's a scare tactic. In fact, they're following science just like they do with everything else. They send off a proportion of those tests, which are randomly selected, and then the portion that is examined comes back, and they're able to sequence which specific variant it is, and they're able to tell scientifically based on the percentage of those tests that come back positive that are the Delta variant. All of this information is on CDC's website, and it shows by percentage which are the variants of concern and which are the dominant strain. So I can share that information with you if you'd like to see it.
Anyone else have a question for Matt here? And of the hospitalizations in Oldham County, well, they're not all hospitalizations. Just because you have it doesn't necessarily mean you're hospital. How is Tri-County doing? You know, they have
Train. In the last conversation that I had with them, they were seeing an increased case count of individuals coming in as well as being admitted. And mind you, the 14 that I referenced are just those patients that have been admitted. Individuals that go to the emergency room that might get some treatment, whether it be oxygen or some type of IV fluids because they're dehydrated, they're not counted as hospitalized. They just go there for care, and then they're released. They're never admitted to the hospital.
right, but all physicians are reporting exposures that come to their office. Is that correct? Is how we get our numbers here?
All of the local pediatricians and other physicians are seeing an increase in case count. And as I've said on record many times, thankfully, most children resolve with mild to moderate symptoms and they do not require hospitalization. But we are seeing an increase in hospitalizations for those pediatric cases now as well.
Well, of the calls that I've received, and received several, the most fearful ones have been those who are sending their kids to school for the first time. Kindergarten, first grade, those are by far the most nervous of the group. And then the second group would be those that have medically impacted children at home, other children in the family with cancer or something like that. Mr. Carter.
A question. How many new cases has Oldham County had in the last 14 days?
In the last,
14 days.
I don't have that data explicitly, but it's within that 548 that I just showed you. Most of, well, I can tell you it's 165 and 141 if you want to do the math. That's over the last 14 days. 300 and
I was just looking at the CDC guidelines. And it said that you had to have, if you had less than, I lost it now, but there's number of new cases per 100,000 persons within the last 14 days. Plus risk of transmission, less than 5. If we knew how many cases we had, we would know where we were. But I suspect we're 5 or less.
no, sir, you're wrong. CDC has that information listed explicitly for Oldham County. You can go in there and click on Oldham County.
Let's click on
It's
that.
248 the last time I looked per 100,000. I'll send the information to you today.
I'm just looking at the CDC.
You're looking at the wrong thing, sir.
CDC guideline.
I'll be happy to share it with you as soon as I leave here.
Means you also have Oldham County listed as a hotspot.
It is a hot spot. Well, it's not what you believe, sir. It's what the facts say.
I'm looking at CDC guidelines. And I can add and I can count. I can tell you, we got less than 5 cases per 100,000 population.
Sir, you're an expert in legal matters. I'm an expert in public health matters. If I come and start trying to tell you what your job is with regard to legal matters, you will tell me to step aside. I'm going to respectfully do the same to you with regard to public health matters.
Talking about public health, I'm just talking about statistics and what the CDC put on their website. I can read.
I didn't say you couldn't, but obviously you're looking at the wrong information.
And the CDC needs to take it down.
Well, this, shows there's confusion in the community. We're all trying to do the right thing here. I appreciate you, Matt, for your doing what your job is, and I do respect you as a professional. You've done a great job for us since you've come to Oldham County. John is saying, I don't know what you've seen something there. Apparently, you're not looking at the same thing. You don't believe, but there is this type of discussion in the community, and we all need to try to, determine what the best, what the accurate information is, and try to follow it. And, people have wide-ranging opinions on whether or not this should be, treated the way it's being treated. We have not. I don't know, how does this stand up against the winter flu? I mean, in the sense that we haven't worn masks in the past in regard to that. Some people say that's more severe than this. I don't know if it is or not. So.
Assuming that's rhetorical.
Possibly. You're right. I don't know if it is. I haven't paid that much attention to the winter flu, honestly. Get a flu shot and go forward. So.
Matt, thanks for your comments and your guidance. I think that one of the things in dealing with it, I have school-age children. I have a daughter who is not real happy about wearing a mask, but she's also ecstatic about going back to school. So it's the necessary of the evil, I guess, if you want to call it that. And my son going back to school is a freshman. Again, not really excited about wearing a mask, but he's come home every day for the past couple, I guess now 4 days, with a smile on his face. He's happy to be with his friends. He's happy to be back learning. I think that one of the things as parents, and everybody parents differently, I will never get Father of the Year. I know that. But we got to give our kids the tools. We got to give our kids the guidance. But they're also very resilient. I don't think, even myself, don't give my kids enough credit sometimes in what they can do and what they can put up with. I've heard from parents, such as you have, worried about their kids, and that they shouldn't be wearing a mask. Well, you want them to go to school? Yes, that's what they have to do. I don't think anybody likes it, but I will commend both the school, the superintendent, Matt, you director of public health. It seems like that you guys are doing this, and gals are doing it very methodical and trying to keep us moving in a positive direction. And I applaud you for having the meeting the other morning at 7 a.m. I think that I hope that you change your Zoom meeting process a little bit and cut out some, needs to be more. And I give Kevin Nuss, if you need Zoom directorship, I will throw Kevin Nuss's name in the hat, because when we had our fiscal court meetings, Kevin did a pretty good job of keeping the public and everything straight. Not just, I think that's a difficult meeting to have that you had, but I commend you for doing it. I don't know how many people have watched it now on Facebook, but there was 123 or something watching it at one time when I was watching it. So I commend you for doing that, stepping out and being transparent, because that's what we need. We need to have transparency in order for people to see what's really going on.
Absolutely. And that's a very well-deserved criticism, and it was a learning point, because there was a lot of distraction on that meeting, especially for the one that was trying to present information, and all those messages kept popping up. So I can assure you that only the Board of Health and invited guests will be on the Zoom meeting for future meetings, and everything else will be live streamed for people to participate. But I appreciate your comment about masks as well. Personally, I hate wearing a mask. It's so hot, it's uncomfortable to me, but I think it's the right thing to do. Therefore, I do it. I have committed to the school board and to the superintendent. As soon as I think it's safe to get kids out of masks, I will let them go back to the policy of choice. But I'm working hand in hand with them, reviewing the data weekly. And right now, that's just not a very safe option, in my opinion. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Keep up the good job and good luck with the phone calls. Next item on our agenda today is open public comment here. Is there anybody here who would come in and like to address the fiscal court at this point? Public comment. All right, I'm going to say a few things myself here in the public comment. And 2 weeks ago, during public comment, a person appeared who raised the questions about a statement that had been made by the mayor of LaGrange at a public event that occurred out at the Oldham Reserve. We opened a road there, a new road, an extension for Eden Parkway that connected with LaGrange Parkway, formerly LaGrange, now Ernie Harris Parkway. And the mayor said he was really pleased with the extension, excited about it, and felt that what we had accomplished there was in due part to the occupational tax that the city of LaGrange has in effect. The city and the county both put up money to help extend Eden Parkway, as did some of the property sales that had been made to a new group Trilogy. Now, that comment went by and no one responded here from the fiscal court. We were, I'll say, almost unprepared for the comments and we thought about it since then. I think we need to just briefly review what has happened. Back in about 2006, the city and the county each put up $10 million to purchase the Oldham County Park. It was called Badgett Farm at that time. And there was one road to put in back then, and the costs started to roll up. Along the way, a professional engineer was the chairman of the Oldham LaGrange Development Authority, and he had estimated that it would take somewhere between $20 and $25 million to build out the infrastructure in the park. We're trying to attract businesses there to help provide, obviously, employment and other benefits to our community. Thus far, the city and the county have about, I think, $5 or $6 million invested in infrastructure. So we have another 14, 15, maybe $16 million to go, and that also includes some expensive sewer development there. There's not a single what's called pump station in the park. So the mayor said that he felt the occupational tax was very beneficial to helping expand this park and continue it underway. But when the city council implemented the occupational tax, 1%, back in 2012 or 13, at 13 it was, they put a provision in the tax that when there was no debt left on the park by the city, the occupational tax would go away. The mayor made the comment that he thought it should continue on at 1%, and that's what the speaker at our last meeting objected to, felt that was something they didn't want to have. A point that I should have made at that time, but didn't, just because I wasn't prepared to do so, was the fact that the occupational tax received in Oldham Reserve is split between the city of LaGrange and Oldham County Fiscal Court. We're partners in that project, and that was one of the agreements at the very beginning, that if the city were to implement an occupational tax, the county would get half from the employees in the park. Thus far, through the first quarter of this year, county government has been paid $3,533,000 as our half of that money. Now, the money is definitely beneficial. I'm not going to say that I advocate keeping the tax. I won't say that I'm opposed to it either. Keeping it because it is a city of LaGrange issue. But to be fair, Oldham County Fiscal Court has benefited significantly from the action taken by the LaGrange City Council. So I think that's something I should have brought up at the last meeting, but I didn't. I wasn't prepared to come up with that number, and researched it subsequently to say that we're all in it together, and it is the money that has come in from the occupational tax has been beneficial to the park and to fiscal court's participation in the park, as well as the city of LaGrange. Is there anybody else who would like to say anything here to open comment at this point? All right, then we'll move on here. And the next item on our agenda is the sheriff's property tax settlement. And we have Sheena Ingram here today. Welcome.
Hello. Bear with me. It's my first time doing this. I'm here to present the 2020 Sheriff's Property Tax Settlement and with the breakdowns for each district. I think you guys all have a copy of this. The first page is the summary of all the taxing districts. And then following that are each district broken down. The total amount collected for 2020 was $87,343,851.96. The credits paid allowable to the sheriff was $3,429,098.51. The total amount paid out to all the districts was $83,913,868.74. The sheriff's commission from the districts was $1,091,292.11. That was not including our commission from the school board. That amount from the school board was $812,522, which that's the money that we use to run and maintain our office each year. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer those.
All right, this is our sheriff settled tax settlement for 2020. And magistrates have a question for Sheena about it. I think it's all laid out clearly. The sheriff serves, obviously, all of the people of the county, collects the taxes, distributes it among the various taxing authorities, and receives a compensation from each for doing that. That's how we support the, at least in part, the sheriff's department. So, yes, Magistrate Dye.
Might want to be brought out that these numbers are run through an audit.
Every year there's a yearly audit and it's posted.
That's something that Sheena went downstairs and typed all out on herself. It's
Yes, sir.
did it to an audit, and then it's audited every year.
It's posted in the newspaper every year too. Yep.
Validated, vetted numbers. Did all that work out there and say, well, how did she know she did that? Because you said it was your first time, so I wanted to get you off the hook there.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sheena. Appreciate it. The do we need to accept that or just repeat? Or
I'll make a motion to be accepted.
a second? All right, all in favor of receiving that report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next item here is the Stormwater Management District report. We have Will Douglas and Jim Silliman. And welcome, fellows.
Good afternoon, Judge and magistrates. I like to say this will be my first time up here too, but I guess it isn't. So as the judge stated, my name is Will Douglas. I'm the chairman of the Oldham County Stormwater District Board. Each one of you will provide a packet, I believe, in your folders. I'm here today to present our proposed FY 2022 budget and provide you an update on the MS4 stormwater program. Our county engineer, MS4 coordinator, will go over some of that. But first, let me state that the board has 3 directors and who were appointed by this court. The directors are Gail Cox, Tom Springer, and of course myself. The Stormwater District Board, I wanted to give you a little background because I'm not sure the public knows, but Stormwater meets regularly on the second Monday of each month at 2:30 p.m. here on the second floor of the courthouse. The meetings are open to the public, so I wanted to make sure that the public is aware of that. Like I said, Mr. Sullivan, the county engineer, MS4 coordinator, is here today to explain about the MS4 program and our MS4 projects and our efforts to mitigate some stormwater runoff issues within the county. Now I'll move on to the budget presentation. It was, I believe, on June 14, 2021, the board met and approved the proposed budget for FY22 with no increase to stormwater quality fee. And we made a determination that fee will remain the same at $33.84 a year. Now, if you turn to page 4, which is the Oldham County Stormwater Management budget, I want to draw your attention to the section operating revenues. We have estimated that approximately $890,000 will be collected from stormwater quality fees. We also estimated that approximately $4,000 will be earned from interest income. And in addition, we also estimated that approximately $1.3 million, or actually around $1,302,503 carryover revenue to this FY22 budget proposal. As a result, we have estimated that our total operating revenues is approximately $2,196,503. Moving on down to our operating expenses, we've estimated a total administrative cost at approximately $8,230. Of that line item for each one of those, it's $250 for administrative costs for like mailing and office supplies that Mr. Clark needs. Includes that with $1,780 for our CAECO insurance premiums, $1,800 for director fees, $3,900 for audit cost, and of course we have to pay $500 for our SPGE fee, which is the special purpose government entity fee through the state. Also, under operating expenses, under the line item for contractual services, we currently have service agreement contracts with the city of LaGrange, and that's for $100,000 a year. And we have one here for physical court for $525,000 to manage the MS4 program. Under the line item for MS4 projects, we've allocated approximately $650,000 for the Goshen Hills Phase 2 project, and also Phase 2 of the Buckner Soccer Field project. That was in the, I believe Jim will explain that more. That's in the county engineers or the stormwater budget that you guys approved, but the stormwater will reimburse for those projects. Under the net income line item of page 4, we've estimated our reserves at the end of FY22 to be approximately $913,273. That's what the estimates were that we approved on June 14th. I just want to take the opportunity now to just thank Stan Clark, the county's chief financial officer, and of course the county engineer's office and his staff for their assistance and guidance they have given to the Stormwater Board. And I'll be glad at the end of the Jim's presentation, I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have We did also provide you the actual 2020 accounts, and we also provided you the estimated summary for 2021. So at this time, I would like to have Jim come out and move forward.
But I think as most of you are aware, throughout the years when we've discussed this, presented it annually, county has a MS4 responsibility under our KYG 20 permit with the Division of Water. As part of the permit, MCMs or minimum control measures are what we're monitoring and implementing. I won't go through and read all of them. We've got them in the packet and you've seen them over the years. We did submit our annual audit or our report to the Division of Water in April of this year. That was reviewed, and in June of this year we were audited. I believe it had been about 3 years since our last county audit. We were audited by the Division of Water, and the results were no violations. Moving forward, I think, one of the other things that's fitting that the county extension office is here today to present next, because one of the comments that Lucas Hanks, our MS4 coordinator at the division, had for us during that audit was the importance of our relationship with the extension office and the conservation district with regard to our public outreach and all our efforts to best manage the MS4. We do have that great relationship. What the next slide is, and we share these metrics with you monthly. These are cumulative summaries of the past two fiscal years with the percent increase or decrease, the delta change. In some of the criteria that are effective in measuring our performance, not only the engineering department as a whole, but the tasks that we're tasked to satisfy, those MCMs. And you can see a lot of them are based on development trends. We did see a slowing of some development plan submittals that came into the office when COVID-19 originally hit around spring of last year. That was very short-lived. Plans continued to come in, and we received numerous for commercial, residential, industrial development today throughout the time. So when we see a high volume. This report and these numbers also reflect the enforcement controls that we manage, whether they're notices of deficiencies or violations or citations with regard to erosion control operations on the construction sites, which we inspect regularly. If you have any questions while this slide is up, things are time to go ahead and take any.
Manager Hawkins.
This slide that you have up indicative of why the stormwater quality fees for 2021 versus 2022 have decreased by almost 10,000.
No, the fees, I mean, the fee on individual residents have remained the same. So there has been some fluctuation of, I guess, the total of the ERUs we get in one, because City of Goshen became their own MS4, so that took that whole city away from that. But at the same time, as houses come into the county and businesses and commercial developments come in, it raises and should balance at some point.
Thought it would have raised as well, but it looks like it decreased by.
Which number are you looking at?
Page 4, where it says stormwater quality fees. Right there.
907 down to 2022.
It's likely because of the City of Goshen.
If you want to ask questions about the budget, I can take those at the end. But the stormwater quality fees, in last year, we had proposed our budget around 890,000 anyway, about that amount, because we knew and we took in consideration that the city of Goshen wasn't participating any longer. They have their own permit. So we were estimated around 10,000 we would lose, according to Mr. Clark. But the 903,000 or 903,000, almost 904,000, we made it that amount because Mr. Clark's effort to collect arrears past, that's from individuals, or past payments from businesses. It was his diligent, that's why I complimented him. It was his diligent effort to make that happen. He's here, but I mean, it was his effort that we were able to increase that. But on our proposed budget for FY21, I believe it was 890,000. I don't have it in front of me, the old copy, but he included that increase in there because basically that's what he figured the summer would be.
I said 10,000, it's closer to 14,000.
Then the 890,000 is definitely because of the decrease in 2022 of the loss of income, the fees from the city.
Moving on, as far as the stormwater program, it's notable, and I've put in here that over the past year, as a policy, we as a county, stormwater department has been addressing stormwater issues not only within the county right away, but also in easements on private property to help assist county residents that have issues. We also, as we always have, the road department works closely with our office to address some of the roadside drainage and some of the smaller non-capital projects that our road department can construct and maintain, whether it's clearing ditch lines, reinstalling catch basins, updating storm sewer systems within the right of way. And we also continue to offer the 50/50 flood grant, is what it's called. It's established by ordinance where the county will participate on approved projects for property owners have drainage issues on the project up to $7,000. The county will pay half. We're also in the second year of the water quality sampling program that's directly related to our KYG 20 permit, and this year we're focusing on Harrods Creek watershed. The field work's been completed for that, but we're waiting on the draft of the report showing the results. The capital improvement projects that Mr. Douglas spoke about, he mentioned that we completed the Goshen Hills project. We've talked about that in here before in fiscal year 21. The second phase of that project is about 90% design complete, and there's a sanitary sewer relocation we've got to take care of, and that plans are at MSD being reviewed currently. The Buckner Soccer Fields Grand Villa project that also initiated in fiscal year 21. Again, the road department was able to take care of the critical portion of that project that redirected drainage from that was leaving the ditch going down the Grand Villa and some houses. They reconstructed it, that ditch. Now it's directed properly, and a second phase of that project that we want to look at is to also build the detention basin in some open area to further address stormwater. We also have a relatively small project that we have design plans on already and are working on getting an easement to address a home flooding issue in River Bluff Farms. And as always, our mapping of the MS4 area continues, and actually with the recent permit changes, we were actually doing what the permit now requires. We started about a year before they changed it to map more intensive mapping than it was before, but we're already undertaking that. That's it.
Right. Thank
Questions?
you. Are there any questions? Magistrate Likens.
Thank you, Judge. I noticed our rate is $33.84. What is Jefferson County's rate? It's a lot higher than that. I just wanted to tell people that we're not the only ones out here charging fees, but I didn't know what the Jefferson County rate was per residential unit.
I'm not prepared to answer it because I do have a house that, no, I don't have a house there now. But I was going to say about $12 a month. It might be just a tad lower that a month.
Well,
So I
$144 versus $33.
yeah, I don't know if they took an increase this year or not. I know last year I proposed and I broke that out to you guys. The board looked at our stormwater fees, and in fairness, the board kind of took it in consideration that when you have reserves that you're carrying over, and you're looking at these projects, because a lot of times we project these projects, we send them out, and the design is being created. We're in the middle of the year when it happens, fiscal year, so we can kind of stretch these out a little bit. It's eventually we're going to run out of money, and we know that, but we're going to try to cap that before we have to meet that. Our major project we have right now was the Goshen Hill Phase project. If you did not go over and see modifications and the work that was done in Phase 1, or just had the opportunity to talk to some of those residents in Goshen Hills, I know the judge has, and I know Executive Judge or under Deputy Judge Kevin Nuns has at the meetings. Those residents came to these meetings almost every month until they started to see a change and actually the work being done over there. So we've actually, I was amazed about the work that they committed and the water, the way it's moving, and what it was supposed to do. So anytime you get an opportunity, if you don't go down Goshen Lane off of 42 and take a look at some of the project or what was done over there, you should. They're happy. So, and on top of that, I'm sure you realize that in part of that project, I think it was budgeted, it came under the budget for that project. So that helped put money back into the carryover. And so we can move that towards Phase 2 project. So we thought this year we hold off on any increases for the fees.
Magistrate Logson.
Yes, I want to thank you, Will, and Jim, and the other two board members for what y'all do. $33, some sense, a lot of money to a lot of people. But my biggest complaint usually are stormwater problems that are in subdivisions, where they'll fill in the ditch, swimming pools over ditches, and then they want the county to come in and fix it. Also, don't forget that this is a state and federal mandate. So this is not put on by the county. This is a mandated by another party. So I just really want to thank you all. I know y'all watch your money well. You spend your money at watching over. $33 per homeowner. You go in and try to switch it's right or fill in something that somebody's done wrong. It doesn't go very long or far at all. So thank you.
I appreciate it. And the board of directors, it wasn't for the staff in Oldham County. I mean, we would be, I think we would have to hire people more out there. And that's what the $525,000 goes for. It goes for the county to manage that program. Same thing with the city of LaGrange. When they come to the meetings, even when Jim comes to the meeting and his staff come to the meetings, the board asks questions. What are you doing? What are you spending? We want to know what they're doing. So, and a lot of times you might not see where that $525,000 because it goes into your general fund and it's allocated to their side of the budget. But a lot of it goes to the road department too, for their assistance and their help for, the catch basins and things like that they need. So, I just appreciate what they do. Oh, those
The Hounds.
So it's been probably a year ago since I saw this, I'll call it the master list of projects. While I understand the fee that we have, there's a lot of projects on that list. And it would seem to me that if we were to raise the fee ever so slightly, we could start taking some of the ones that have been on the list for a long time that may not be the highest priority, but that are still a problem, that have still been reported, that need to be taken care of. What is the plan to help reduce the list? And you know, I know throwing money at it is not going to fix the problem, but it is going to fix the problem.
Ask the same questions, and Jim will answer those for you like he told us.
And you're right, really, you have to throw money at the problem to fix it. And we've been I guess directed and we proposed both that we're going to put together a couple packages, whether it's just a linear grading ditching package to get bids this fiscal year to address some of those. Say there's on the list, we've got them categorized, whether they're drainage or a roadside ditch, sinkhole, whatever the critical category is. Put together some packages to go through and maybe get 600 linear feet of grading and have a contractor go through and take care of this. Because while our road department does great work, we all know that, and they're very helpful in these efforts, there's only so much they can do with all the other tasks. So we're looking to contract that out this fiscal year to reduce that list.
Because I know, I mean, while Don's house may not be being flooded, it's still a stormwater issue to him. And there's still some of those projects that, you know, they should also be taken care of. I like the idea of packaging some of that stuff up, because I do think that there are excavation companies out there that probably have the tools that could come in and knock out some of these projects much faster than our folks could. The other question I have is obviously we've had more than one conversation about Ashbrook and Federal Estates and Clovercroft and Ash Avenue. I'm going to make a statement about it because, as you and I have talked, I was told because of the flooding on Ash Avenue to wait till the state fixed Ash Avenue, and then that would alleviate some of the flooding in the neighborhood and on Ash Avenue. Well, that didn't work. We still have that same problem. And I know how much money we spent to fix Ash Avenue, which still blows my mind. And it just would appear to me that the projects that are staring us in the face, if you look at that long list of even the little projects and you look at the short list of even the bigger projects, we don't have enough money to fix them. And, you know, part of me says I think we ought to raise the fee, even if we raise it a couple of bucks. I mean, I understand that that's still raising the price, but, you know, if we raise it to, I think I did $35 just a minute ago, it would be another $30,000 in monies we could use to fix some of those projects. So I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, Bill, you made the comment, we're going to run out of money. And, you know, how long?
I think if we stay on the path we're on right now, I think we can manage for at least another year or 2 years with the projects we have, because we're generating enough to where we're paying our operating expenses. But it's hard for the board to say we're going to raise it, because a substantial amount, like you just figured up, if you raised it $2, you're going to generate $30,000. I mean, that's a drop in a bucket for some of these projects.
If you're saving $30,000 this year, if you put $30,000 in the bank this year, next year, you know, before long.
If you're totaling up what we're between our operating revenues and our operating expenses, it's close to $900 to $1 million a year that we're carrying over. So, you know, what the projects are going to look like in 2022, Jim will already tell you that some of the design layouts cost went up. Originally, he had told the board that we were only going to need $500,000 to do the two projects. And the board had to revote or meet again and basically up the ante to increase that to $650,000 because of cost, material cost.
But you're you're following in my case.
I understand that. But at the same time, that's why it was budgeted for that. So we still feel this year we're okay. Next year, I mean, you might see an increase. I mean, we don't know. The board will have to look at it. So we don't have design plans yet for Ashbrook. We don't have design plans for these.
So I get it, but I mean, I can just the scope of some of the projects we know are not going to be $100,000 projects. I mean,
Right.
Point, you had a project that went from 500 to 650,000. I'm not going to do the math, but that's a pretty good increase.
And we know why. It's material costs because of the COVID situation.
As you die.
I think that's correct to speak to some of this. Like you asked what the Jefferson County bill was, it's $15.20 a payment. Okay.
That's $183.
Glen Oaks is blessed with a lot of double payments and overpayments. That's when it divided into subdivisions. I think part of it, Glen Oaks is Jefferson and Oldham. Kind of like the card. But, the point that now it's makes right down the floor. You should have $50,000 out. You're a resident construction guy now, and $30,000 for rock.
100. About $300 a load.
That's not, yeah, you know yourself, that's not bad. I mean, you want to do it, do something about you have the experience. The whole thing is, there's all kinds of reasons why these problems are out there. I would have to guess from my subdivision in my district, poor design, poor planning, poor maintenance, poor enforcement, and then, as someone pointed out, just with the mandate that came down out of the blue, you were already behind the 8 ball on things that needed to be fixed that were broken on day one. We're already, what, Jim? I'm going to ask you just a number, millions of dollars behind when the mandate came out, probably. So I don't know what the answer is as far as how much you need to raise it or whatever, but at your present pace, it's I would have to say, and y'all's enforcement on the front end is much better on the new construction than it's ever been. I've been here, and I have to commend your office for doing that. It's really stepped up the game quite a bit. Your permitting. I know the time that Jim spends over at the Oldham Reserve. I mean, they've asked me to get him, people in his department's asking me to get him different colored trucks so they won't know he's coming. So, there's situations, but if you want to get these things fixed, if you want to reduce this big long master list, which reaches from here to the you're going to have to get serious about your. I think didn't you say you were going to run out of money at some point?
We thought, but
Let's not wait till we run out of money to.
I hope not. So, my hope is that priority list will become more stackable to where we know what the design projects are and the estimated cost.
What about raising it inflation? It's just labor and material cost. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying, I know one thing. How much is it now? Since I don't pay, I wouldn't know what it is.
$3.84.
And that,
What they call ERUs, equivalent residential unit.
and that, $33.
It's higher than that because
Yeah, I think it might have been decreased slightly once.
it was more than that years and years ago. I mean,
How long has it been this number?
that on the board,
Several years.
years.
You're getting either. I'll put it this way: it's like the old trading game. If you're paying $33 now, and you were paying $33 10 years ago, either you were getting a deal then, or you're not paying enough now. One of the two's got to be true. That's all.
Money was collected before projects were initiated for some time. So Okay, well, I think the court is wanting to move on, guys.
That's all I got to say about it. I got some things that was that had been brought out.
As far as the board, I would say, I can't speak for the other two, but I think we hear you and we appreciate your support for when that time comes.
Okay. All right, guys, thank you. Good report. Appreciate very much you being here. Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda now today is also a report from our county extension service. Ken Hepperman and Bruce Misson and Kelly Woods are all here. So Ken, guess you're the lead person, and welcome.
Good afternoon. I'm Ken Hepperman. On behalf of Oldham County Extension, I'd like to present the budget and the tax rate. Just to let you know, I am a vice chairman for the board of directors for the extension. The figures that you're going to see will start out with the taxes, all categories of revenue for July 1, 2021, June 30th. Numbers is $948,889. Your receipts, carryovers from prior fiscal year, $1,361,413. So that gives us total available funds of $2,310,000. Just a point of clarification, carryover consists of what our expenses are going to be for the next 7 months. Next 7 months worth of expenses will come out of that carryover. We have balloon payments for our long-term debt on our property and then due next year or two. And we also have our goals for purchase assets or a variety of things, some of them being involved in shooting. So that makes up that 1 point. Now, as far as expenditures, we've combined most of them and put them into 5 different categories instead of going through 112 different line items. So our expenses for this coming year, personnel was $331,000. Our operations expenses amount to $245,000. Administration, $100,572. Capital outlay of $96,000. Debt service, $120,000. Total expenditures for our budget for this coming year, $894,000, which gives us an approximately $4,000. Any questions as far as what our budget is?
Magistrate Tice,
Yes. A lot of our contractual services as far as administration, advertising, professional services, maintenance, equipment repair, and those things fall under the administration. Personnel is strictly employees of what we pay and their benefits. As far as our tax rate proposal for the next year, 2021, 2022, our real property is 1.36 cents for $100. Personal property, 1.45 cents for $100. This has come down from last year. We had it at 1.46. Motor vehicle is 1.5, which is the same as last year. Watercraft, 1.5. An inventory of 1.45, $100. I'd just like to comment that the rates are at or below compensating rate for all the categories.
Magistrate Hawkins,
You didn't say the real property. What was real property last year? And that's changed is the personal property, and that's decreased by 1 cent.
And 1.46 last year.
The only change.
I think so.
Thank you. I'd like to turn the rest of the program over to Kelly Woods and Tracy Miss.
Thank you, Ken.
Good afternoon. I get the privilege to give some highlights of some of the accomplishments of our 4-H members this past year. We definitely, just like everyone else, had a very different year. A lot of our activities were not in person, they were virtual. But our 4-H members were very involved, and they have been very successful this year on winning state awards as well as being invited to national events. And one that has just taken place is our hapology team competed at the state in hapology, and they won at the state, and then they were invited to attend Southern Regionals the end of July, and they qualified now to go on to nationals. So we actually have a hapology judging team, Savannah Claggett, Carrie Olds, Grace Burbis, and Ella Owens, and they will be competing at the North American and representing them. So that's a pretty big accomplishment for us, and we're really proud of those ladies. Another program that we in Oldham County participate in is the state awards, and most counties are excited to have one 4-H member who is awarded a gold award. And this past year we had 5, which is quite unheard of because many times you might get a gold award winner one every 4 or 5 years. We had 5 individuals that received their gold award. We also had one individual who interviewed for the Emerald Award, which is the highest award in 4-H. And then we had 2 individuals who qualified and received silver, and 3 individuals who received the bronze award. So we were very proud of these. And it's basically a vita of all of their 4-H and school and personal involvement. The 4-H communications program is where our 4-H members learn public speaking skills, and then they are judged and given pointers on how to improve their public speaking skills, whether it be giving a speech or presenting a demonstration. And this year it was held virtually, and 125 young people involved, which was down from normally what we have. But it's hard to keep our young people involved in the virtual environment. But we are proud to announce that Andrew Myers was the state champion for the senior foods division, and then Kennedy Hodges was the 11-year-old speech champion. Those were both at the state level. Our Oldham County Shooting Sports team continues to work hard. They've been meeting since April, and the second weekend in September, we'll have 24 youth participating in the state shooting sports program, and they'll be competing in archery, 22 air pistol, and we did go to camp this year. We were at half capacity at camp. We wore masks at camp, and while we were indoors and did not have any problems, again, our children, adults, volunteers endured wearing those masks, but we were able to go to camp at half capacity for an entire week at Lake Compliments. Right now, we are working on organizing our clubs, and they're going to be resuming meeting face to face. Not all of our clubs have committed to start up yet. They're still waiting to, our leaders are still waiting to see how things work out. But these clubs that we have in front of you are going to start up in the fall, and we're excited that they're going to be meeting. Spent a lot of time on Zoom this past year. All right, any questions?
I saw a slide where some of your 4-H members were in a cave. Where was that at?
Was it cave? We have a cave at our 4-H
Okay.
camp. So they were going to the classes cave.
Ashley Hawkins.
I called to get one of my kids into the shooting sports. So that happened this year, but I was told it was full, and it says it's going to restart in the fall. So it happened, but it was full, but it's going to restart in the fall.
We begin, usually we start enrollment in February. This year was a little bit later because we were. Because we lost some coaches, and because of some facilities and properties that we have, we had to limit some of the.
So was it like if you'd been in the program in the past, then you were kind of allowed to stay? Okay.
Bylaws for the shooting. Right. So if you reach out to our shooting coordinator and go ahead and get your name on this for next year, it'd be a good time to do that. On Simonson, if you just.
Thank you.
I know you struggled for location, permanent location for shooting sports. Have you found one yet?
We have every discipline meets at a different location right now. 2 of them are on personal properties, and then we meet at open range and the fairgrounds as well.
Okay. So you do have a place for the shooting sports.
Yes, but it's not permanent.
Right. Trying, and so
Yes.
knows of a facility at the county or a farm, need somewhere out away from other people. How big a space would you think you'd need?
Well, if we were going to include trap, we need at least 10 acres, and then there'd be.
Right. Okay. Ashley Logson.
Oh, question. I don't know if you covered this yet or not. You're on the slide, but you have 466 farms in 2017, 481 in 2002. What? How many acres do y'all consider a farm now?
I went ahead.
Magistrate Lawson, the data I'm going by is the U.S. Census of Agriculture, and that can be less than 10 acres. And so I threw this number up here really because a lot of people ask how many farms are left in the county, and there's this illusion that there are no farms left in the county. But really what's happened, at least over my career, which is about 17 years, is we've seen a transition. So some farms are smaller now. They've sold off part of their property, and even a 5-acre piece of property, if it's not restricted somewhat, can be an agriculture use. So there's not a whole big difference in how many farms between 2002 and 2017, according to the U.S. Census. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the successes I saw over the last year with programs that I work with. We had a record number of 58 farmers who earned their private pesticide applicator certification. And that was kind of shocking to me because during COVID, for a time, we didn't have any in-person meetings. We did a lot of Zoom and we did some very small group. And some people I just did one-on-one training with them. So the exposure was limited. We operated, just like Kelly did with 4-H, under UK guidelines for COVID. Try to keep everybody safe. There were a total of 61 farm visits where I went out to meet with producers. Sometimes that's just to bounce ideas. They want to know, they may say, I'm thinking about doing this with my barn. Can I remodel it this way? My pasture needs help. So sometimes it's an idea bounce. Sometimes they truly need very technical help. Some of the things I go to see are not necessarily farm, but residential, and erosion issues and drainage are still a big problem in the county. And Ms. Zillman, the county engineer's office, and I do work together to resolve those. But I'm not an engineer. Jim is, thank goodness. Thank goodness for that. And then there were 21 other producers who completed certifications through Extension that helped them sell their farm product. Like beef, or getting the certification that's needed by some farmers markets just to sell at the market. Another thing that in Extension, my coworker Michael and I are really proud of is that we do classes for people to make them master gardeners. So they sit through lots of classes, they exam, and then they come back and do volunteer work throughout the county. And they do quite a lot of work at Udell and at Creasy Mayhem. It really helps accentuate what we already have in the county. And I come from a sciencey nerd kind of background, so I have to mention research work. We do monitor and trap for something called a spotted winged Drosophila. If any of you guys know what that is, I'll get a gold star out for you. So it's a little type of
Bird.
Little type of fly and insect that invades our small fruit, and it can be devastating to fruit production. So we've trapped and monitored for that, and we've also done some work with cereal rye crops. There's like a rejuvenated interest of people looking at that because we have so many distilleries nearby. That's kind of a sort of new market for farmers. These are some of the upcoming events we have. One thing I'm very excited about is Regional Beef Field Day because last year was Oldham County's turn to host that. We couldn't do it because of COVID. So we have our fingers crossed for this year. We have it set up to be flexible so that there's good social distancing and people can enjoy it and have an opportunity to learn. We have some other areas that we cover in Extension. Nutrition education is a very important one. So a lot of that program focuses on partnering with other agencies in the community. These are some of those: High Point Charitable Services, Bread of Life Food Pantry, which is part of Grace and Glory Lutheran Church. I have a coworker who does nutrition education for drug court participants. He works with Crossroads Pregnancy Center, and in the past has worked with Rotor Substance Abuse Program to teach those inmates good nutrition and hopefully to develop better habits. Of course, that's been interrupted by COVID, but we'll go back to that soon. And then some of the other what we consider life skills classes that are coming up. We have sewing circles, different items that you can make, sew, and also canning classes. Those have been extremely popular over the last 10 years and we'll continue to get those questions. That's just a peek at what we do, and I appreciate y'all for letting us talk to you.
Anybody have any questions for Tracy? Nisha Greenholm.
Tracy, I know that you all are involved with a lot of things, but going back to the slide where you all partner with charitable groups like Crossroads Pregnancy and everything, I did not know that, and that's very commendable. That's something that needs help, obviously, and all the different organizations that you all partner with. So thank you all for doing that.
Patient House.
Friday, we had the county fair, then you go to the state fair through 4-H. How did that program or process work this year? Wasn't there a hurdle involved there?
That because it's really a 4-H involved.
And then the other thing is, I know it seems that the shooting sports are becoming whatever popularity adjective you want to use there. And I know the judge made a comment about facilities and that. So how, like archery, I know, I mean, that doesn't take a lot of space. I mean, you have to have some space, but different than trapping and others. And how are you able to grow those facilities then? Good. Thank you.
Dawkins.
See that photography is coming back too. Is the nutrition class coming back? I didn't see that listed where the kids can come in and cook. Okay, is that what it's called? Okay.
County agent who takes care of all of the family services, she retired a couple years, 3 years ago. And UK has not been around to let us fill that position. So these two ladies and their entire staff have taken over and taken up all those additional going. Hopefully in the near future, hopefully this next year, we're going to have an opportunity to hire a new agent. That's what they do, and that's what they do.
Okay, well, thank you. We appreciate the good work that you're doing, and with adults, and particularly with children, active children, or children who are involved. And if they're involved in something positive, they won't be involved in something negative generally. And I think extension, 4-H, scouting, our sports programs in the county all provide a very positive outlook or outlet for kids, and we appreciate what you're doing. It's well worth the money I believe our county invests in these programs. Thank you for being here today. The next item on our agenda today, I know we have taken a break in the past, about an hour and a half into. Is that be okay here now, or do we want to keep going? Good. All right. Next item, I do want to take just a short deviation here, since we talked about 4-H and farming and so forth. Polly Helton, could you come forward here? Just want to address an issue that is in the public, that the news media is calling on, that has been on Facebook, and Polly has investigated the situation for us, and even bring us up to date on what she has. A picture appeared on Facebook maybe last week, I guess it was, of a very thin and emaciated horse on a farm here in Oldham County. It immediately drew a lot of Facebook response. I think it's also drawn response from different media outlets. Animal control was asked to investigate the situation. Polly, would you like to bring us up to date on where we are with this now?
On Friday, August 13th, Animal Control received a call on 2 loose horses on Echo Valley Drive.
It's a little bit louder so everybody can hear you.
We received a call on about 2 loose horses on Echo Valley Drive. The owner had gotten the horses up before we arrived. The officers made contact with the owner and issued a warning for loose livestock. When asked to see the horses, the owner was very cooperative and allowed the officers to access the back of her property, where after inspecting the property, they found two horses, two saddlebred horses. One was in good condition, one was in poor condition. The horses had hay, grain, and water present and shelter. When questioned about the condition of the skinny horse, the owner stated the horse was 29 years old and would not gain weight. The officers told the owner to have a vet evaluate the horse and we would be back within the week. The owner had a local reputable equine vet come out at her expense and evaluate the horses on Tuesday, August 17th. Vet recommended euthanasia for the one horse due to old age and the ability to gain weight. The owner followed the recommendations of the vet and the horse was euthanized. The second horse was found to be in healthy and in good condition. No charges were filed against the owner based on the vet's evaluation.
All right. I'm not sure if the magistrates had heard about this or had seen it or not, but it's been, a multi-day controversy for, it's the 13th. Was that the first day this came up? Okay, that's only.
That was the first complaint that we had received on that address. I went back through all of our database to 2009, and we had never had any other complaints at that address.
So I do want to make it clear for people in the room and anybody who may be watching our broadcast on YouTube today that the circumstance has been investigated. Veterinarian found that the 29-year-old horse could not gain weight, is why it appeared to be so skinny. And the vet and I guess the owner in cooperation with the vet decided to euthanize the animal. And another horse on the property, there was some question about that, but the vet found that horse to be in good condition. Is that correct?
Right.
So thank you for investigating that. How's your feeling?
Before the veterinarian was called, were the animal control officers, or were they the ones that looked at the animals and thought that the conditions were such like that? Or was it police officers?
Animal control.
Okay, all right.
But our people responded to a question that came up on the internet. I believe a picture was shown of this horse that appeared to be. We didn't take it and put it on there. We responded to it. Am I correct on that?
Responded to two loose horses. The person that posted on the internet did that to locate the owner before we ever were called. But since they were running loose on the road, they called.
But one of them was obviously skin and bones, I guess you'd say, was
good enough to escape.
Yeah, right. Right. And
better shape.
Right. But it was not an abuse situation. It was a situation where the animal's age just kept it from gaining weight, I guess.
Correct. And it's common in older horses. They just don't eat, or even if they do eat, they don't gain weight. It's common in elderly horses. And the vet said that there was no neglect or abuse present.
Have every at age, so it's hard for them to eat.
Correct.
Right. Thank you. And I'll get with you after the meeting. We'll put that statement out on our media.
I did that woman. She was not treating that animal at all. It was just because the animal was old. She did not want to let her animal die. So I just want to make that clear. I know about this case. Woman in charge here loves her animals. She's not abusing that animal. Did not want the animal to die, just like the dog would not want it. I'll make that totally clear. Not abusing that animal.
She loved the horse and she didn't want to let him go. That's
right. Thank you, Paula. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda today has to do with our payables. So when you're ready, we'll pay the bills.
Should we pay the payables?
In discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Now we have budget transfers. Listen on.
Ask you to approve 2 budget transfers today. The first one is for discretionary salary increases of $24,586.87 in total. The second one is to move the court security deputies and their benefits from the sheriff's department into a separate cost center that we've discussed in the past as a requirement from DLG. And that amount for the year is $284,754.08.
We met finance committee today and approved both of these through motion.
Thank you. There's a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item here has to do with adopting our tax rate for the year. And this is resolution number 010817-21. Whereas the property values in Oldham County have increased, and whereas the application of the existing tax rate of 8.7 cents per $100 to the current year's assessment of property subject to tax, excluding new property and personal property, will produce more revenue than the previous year. And whereas the state local finance officer has determined that the rate that would produce approximately the same revenue as the previous year, known as the compensating tax rate, is 8.5 cents per $100. And whereas Oldham County Fiscal Court desires to keep the current tax rate, now therefore be it resolved that the County Fiscal Court adopt a tax rate for 2021 of 8.7 cents per 100. Is there a motion to support?
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion on the keeping the tax rate the same? No increase.
I just want to make a comment. It's kind of funny that we approved the tax rate in August for the budget that started in July.
I think that's a Department of Local Government issue.
I know, it's like we approved the budget and we're going, okay.
Right.
And then 3 months later, we make,
Right.
2 months
Well,
later.
they're not keeping up with what they're supposed to keep up.
I agree. Just making a point. Did we take a vote?
Went first and second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda here is the first reading of Record Services Ordinance. Okay, Magistrate Hounds.
Judge, what you have before us is just the first reading of the proposed record ordinance. We've only been working on this for an extended period of time. It's just out there for the magistrates and the public to read, and then we'll have our second reading. And it's 2 weeks or 30 days, I can't remember.
I think 30 days.
Has to be advertised.
Advertised, so it won't be 2 weeks.
Won't be 2 weeks. When we have the second reading, there'll be opportunity for magistrates and others to submit changes to the ordinance. I do know a couple of changes already need to be made to the ordinance, so we'll bring those up at the second reading.
Right, this ordinance, proposed ordinance, we posted on our website. It's fairly long. I was kind of surprised to see it went 16 pages. Apparently a lot of detail in picking up a car and towing it. You know.
Well, there's a lot of things we're trying to cover. We're trying to make it a better service for the county residents. There are no fees in the ordinance. We've learned our lesson there, and there'll be a fee schedule that will be published for the services that the record drivers provide. those fees, just to give everybody a heads up, have not been changed. I want to say 2010, but I could be wrong. So it's been quite a few years since there's been any adjustments to the fees. And we all know that the cost of diesel and the cost of purchasing records and equipment has gone up. So there will be a slight increase that we'll ask all the record drivers or all the record company providers to adhere to.
All right. And those fees will be posted in a separately adopted schedule. Manager Tice. Yes, correct. We'll post it on our website.
Yes. Yes. Well, it has to be advertised, so it's probably not going to be for another month. Yes.
Anyone else? Raise your green.
I think it's important that one of the objectives here of this ordinance is that we hold all the record companies to the same standard, and that, they all agree to the same set of rules, and then they get the same fee that everybody gets. And yes, they are due for an increase, I agree, but still there's some that don't necessarily adhere to rules that we have. We need to get them all on the same page.
It's becoming more and more difficult. The value of the automobiles and what's being left in the automobiles and what's being towed, and some insurance companies handle things faster than other insurance companies. I think Chief Smith has only made this statement somewhere around 1,000 times, and that's not meant to be a dig, it's a compliment. But the goal and objective is to get the roadway cleared as quickly as possible to get the traffic flow moving. And we all know with the construction that's going on, with the temporary closure of 71, when they blast at about 3 o'clock every day, 146, 22, and 42 become arteries of I-71. So we're trying to make sure that we can get the records on the scene as quick as possible, get the task taken care of, and provide us service for the county residents.
As you die.
The Public Safety Committee, I think what we're trying to do here is a good thing, but my concern is utmost is if we're going to do this, I want to make sure that we have a good vehicle for enforcement. Like we've got ordinances in this county now, we have them on paper, but they're never truly enforced. So,
Anyone else? All right. We'll move on. But, next item on the agenda, Spay Neuter agreement. Holly Alton.
And we've applied for and been awarded the Kentucky Spay Neuter grant. This grant helps people who would otherwise not be able to afford to have their pets spay neutered and receive vet care. We're asking for the approval to have Judge Vogel sign this grant as well as any other forms pertaining to this grant.
And this grant says we're seeking $1,500, correct?
Correct.
Second.
Discussion on this? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next is the EDBG Utilities Grant. This is an agreement here that for IPTA. If you recall that earlier the state had made the amount of money available in Oldham County, $200,000 for Oldham County Fiscal Court, $200,000 for the city of LaGrange to help with utility assistance. The Tri-County Community Action Agency is the the group that would make this available. 2 people, and they have a small fee here, not to exceed $6,000 to make this utility assistance available under the rule put out by the state. So I'm asking that we be allowed to sign this agreement with Tri-County.
I move.
Any discussion on it? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. One opposed, motion carries. Now we're up to the next item here, our personnel actions. Ms. Schaaf is not here today, so I'll run through these with everyone. We have a new policeman here we'd like to hire. It's a 4-year lateral from Jefferson County. His name is Ryan Alexander. He would start on the 23rd of the month at the $23.64 per hour. Another police department, personnel matter is the promotion of Jared Ellison to sergeant at $27.57 base rate. That is effective immediately. And then we also are saddened but wishing well the resignation of Officer Brett Wilson, who is leaving for family matters. So I'd like to have those appointments, appointment and promotion approved.
So moved.
Second.
I have a question, Judge. You mentioned Officer Alexander. You said Jefferson County. You mean he came from Metro or from the sheriff's office?
Metro. Any other questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We have another resignation to announce. Actually, 2 people leaving the maintenance department, Patrick Miller and Jeremiah Mulcher. So these individuals have resigned. So we are seeking maintenance individuals. Difficult to get anybody to apply, but we keep trying. And sooner or later, we hope to find someone. But as long as people get paid to stay home and can make as much, or nearly as much, sometimes more, to stay home than they can working, it's pretty hard to find motivated individuals. But we're continuing to search for them in both the maintenance and road departments. So now I have an appointment to ask to be made. That would be to the South Oldham Fire Department District Board. I'd like to have Jason Greer fill out the term of David Largent. David was elected as a property owner, but he is asked to resign. And so we have an unexpired term that would go on until June 30th of 2023. Jason Greer, as you know, was a businessman in Buckner within the South Oldham Fire District.
Second.
Any discussion on that, as you agree one?
Thank you. Judge, is he on another board already?
He's on the Oldham County Water
Board. Okay.
I raised that issue with the South Oldham and the chairman of the South Oldham Fire Protection District, but they were thought that he'd be a good representative, and they did not have any issue on their part as far as going about the balance of his term being on that board.
Is there any interaction between the water district and the fire department?
No, unless there's some place where Oldham County Water provides water within the South Oldham district, I wouldn't think there would be South Oldham served by Global Water.
There is some parts of that that's Oldham County.
Out there in the country.
I mean, there's not much interaction with the fire.
I think there would be.
Hydrants.
Honestly, Jason's a high quality, certainly dedicated on the water board, high quality individual. I'm not, as a rule, or in favor of a person serving on more than one board, but Mayor Dybel, and impressed me on it. They really appreciated the B2B. So, okay. Go with it for the balance of the term.
And I would guess that Jason lived in the South Oldham district. Lives in Granville.
Yeah, he lives in Granville.
I'm surprised because I know South came down to Darby Point, but I wasn't aware they were on Cedar Point Road. We may want to look into that. I'm not criticizing. I know Jason think he's a great guy, but all of a sudden, as you were saying that, I'm thinking, if that was true, I just didn't realize it came that far. I'll want to double check it. Well, Dabble probably has.
We can look it up on the, we can look it up in the GIS really fast because our district's right there.
We have a resident.
Agent Hawkins.
Mr. Greenwell asked one of the questions I had, but my other question is, does he have experience in the firefighter world or at all that you know of?
Well, probably not. I mean, I'd say 90% of our board members have not been firemen, or they're citizens that are asked to. It's good to have business people on these boards. They know how to read budgets and ask questions, and they're not afraid to do so. I'm sure he lives in the district.
In South Oldham's Fire District.
Dollar Granville in the South.
Magistrate Tice, since I don't know that neighborhood very well, I can't answer your question, but I verified that address, according to the GIS, is in the South Oldham Fire District.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now it's time for a second public comment. Is there anybody here who would like to address the fiscal court at this point? All right, seeing no one, I'll close the public comment and we'll go on and on the final item here to move on our agenda. See if we have any further comments from the magistrates. Magistrate Likens.
Building and Maintenance Committee, welcome today.
Mic on.
I'll start over. Our Building and Maintenance Committee met today, and we are going to meet with Encompass Development, Design, and Construction to talk to them about being our construction manager on the new animal control building. We also, I'll let Mr. Tice tell you about what we decided we're moving along with the Parks Committee as far as the Westport Park or the Schaumbeck Park. We also made some movement with our Grants Committee today to Mr. Logston's committee. So I'd like maybe just a quick synopsis of maybe some of the committee meetings so that we can keep up with some of the things that happen on a daily basis.
Measure Tice.
Since he brought that out, I guess I ought to discuss it for a minute. Yes, we had a Parks Committee meeting today. We met with Tetra Tech a couple of weeks ago at our first kickoff meeting for the Westport Park. And have asked things that they'll be tasked to do, and then we will be notified of them monthly. Parks Committee is going to follow that so that we'll stay in tune or connected with it, and kind of excited that that's moving forward. Trying to think if there's any other committees that's the main one that we've got a big one going. So happy for that. And I'm going to be on the road committee. I'm happy about that. Or are you going to announce that I'm on the road? No. I'm glad you said that. Go ahead. That's it. That's all I got, Judge.
Commissioner Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. We are glad to have Magistrate Tice on the road committee. I had Magistrate Woosley for some total of one meeting. And it's fine. I appreciate how this has all worked out. The only comment I had about life in general is I guess I'd encourage everyone to go to the state fair, because last year we didn't have that opportunity, and it's coming up, and so go to the state fair and support it.
Magistrate Hounds.
Thank you, Judge. We've been in school now for a few days. Magistrate Greenwell on the bus route, I'm sure. back on the bus route. I just encourage people to increase your level of patience. There's been quite a few posts on Facebook, and I've gotten a couple of phone calls with people irritated about the traffic situation in front of our schools. And I just would encourage people to use the buses if at all possible. We have a bus system for a reason. More and more people that drop the onesie twosie kids off, it just compounds the whole issue with traffic control. And maybe once everybody gets in their groove, the traffic will reduce itself and make the commute easier for most people. Also, the other thing is that with the schools being open, try to be careful with the walkers. I know I came up LaGrange Road the other day. There was a lot of kids walking and not really paying attention as they were walking across the street. But just be careful of the pedestrians that are walking. I think it's great that people are out walking. Some of us need to walk more than others, including myself. So hopefully we get out and get some exercise. With the weather changing and cooling off, it'll make things more enjoyable than having to deal with the heat that we've had over the past couple of weeks.
Magistrate Hawkins.
My two things were the parks and the schools, and they've both been covered. So I guess I have nothing.
All right, Magistrate Dye.
Yes, I'll bring a couple of things up since we're talking about committee information. If you've put a swimming pool in your backyard, you don't have a fence around it, you don't have your final inspection, and we're holding some of your money. So we're going to get more aggressive on people that don't have their fences and us holding on to their money. Plus, there is some flood mitigation problems that we're going to be addressing. So those people may hear these things if they listen to this broadcast. The other thing is, some of you that live in the the zip code 40059, and this may have come out into the other zip codes in the county, but I can only speak for the one I live in. LG&E sent a letter out talking about trimming the trees. Everybody get that letter? Okay, so those that got the letter, LG&E will be trimming trees back off their line. It's like it's a 3, 4, 5 year project. It's on the type of road and all of that. But they've already started, and let me assure you, there are some of the most, I'm trying to think of a good, clean word. I can think of the way those trees look when they get done with them. But they're just, it's horrible what they've done to some of these trees, especially when half the tree on one particular road, if the wind blows exactly right, that half of the tree that's left over is going to be in somebody's house. It literally took half the tree away, left the other half. It's wild looking. So anyway, if you see them out there trimming on your roadways, be sure and look and make sure that the vehicle doesn't say Oldham County government on it. We're not the ones that are doing these horrific cutbacks of these huge limbs. I mean, it's something to see. But this is in zip code 40059. So you see them, you can call me, but I can tell you more likely it wasn't us. Thank you.
Thank you. Magistrate Logston.
Yes, Judge. I haven't seen this happen for the past couple of days since school started, but people over in your district are taking golf carts with their kids riding up and down, going to the swimming pool. Anyway, it's very dangerous. You have 5, 6 kids hanging off golf carts, going over to the pool, going back to Clore Lane. You've got dips and hills. You can't see them when you drop over those. So please be careful. Again, I haven't noticed it that much since school has started, but that is so dangerous to let your kids out on golf carts run on a road that's 25 mile an hour, and even on the Clore Lane, it's 35 mile an hour speed limit. So please be careful of that. The second thing is, I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers here, but until you know the whole story regarding the lady with the horse that had to put her horse down, I used to take care of her animals with the veterinarian when I was back in my 20s, early 20s. A woman loves her animals more than anything in the world. So, she did not want to put that horse down. That was a member of her family, just like it would be if you had a dog or a cat that she didn't want to let go. So I don't think there's anything in America that is totally split this nation in two besides Facebook, Twitter, and everything else, because everybody has an opinion and they always make assumptions before they know what's true. So please be considerate before you put something on Facebook or Twitter that's going to hurt somebody else, because sometimes you just don't know the whole story.
Right. Holly and I'll be getting together after the meeting here, and we'll put this out on the county Facebook page and respond to the media that have asked about it. I have seen some very inflammatory comments made in Facebook in relation to this, and you're absolutely right. People who don't have the facts start filling in any blanks that they don't know about with their own answers, and it's really discouraging. Give a person the chance, give us and give the person the chance to have their explanation emerge before you start to find fault with them. I want to speak to a couple of things here. Happy thing first, picnic. We're having a picnic Sunday at Old Wendell Park for all of our first responders and other county employees. It's from 1 to 5. We have a lot of nice things planned, and I hope people will turn out, praying for good weather. We've had all this dry weather, and hope it get rain between now and then, but not from 1 to 5 on the next Sunday afternoon. So if you're listening to my voice and one of the people that will be coming out, the park will be closed to the general public that day, and parking will be a little different than it is there now. We'll be able to have people not park further into the park, because we'll have demonstration of our new Oldham County aerial response team drones there. We have money raised by the Rogers Foundation and the company has gone to buy 2 very expensive and sophisticated drones, and we have a trailer that's been wrapped with our logos. And these the trailer and the drones will be part of a response, just like our hazmat response team. This will be an aerial response team to identify lost people, people being looked for, fire, the intensity of fire in certain situations. All of our 6 fire departments and 4 police agencies will have this available at their use and need. So looking forward to this nice picnic to celebrate people that have worked hard during COVID to this point. Hope it's going to continue on, as we heard earlier. People ask me about we've got this traffic problem in Buckner here. The governor gave $1.8 million for a turning lane at North Oldham, and that's great. I mean, the traffic there is horrendous around school. The campus concept that was thought to be a good idea when it was implemented, because of the growth in the county, has turned out to really generate the traffic. Buses are not full because kids are tired of wearing masks by the time you get out of school, and they're begging every parent that can to come and pick me up so I can get this mask off. It's produced a lot of traffic at our schools this year, more than is normal. As I mentioned, the governor gave money for North Oldham. We also have a problem, though, in Buckner, and I'm going to bring this up, but not necessarily ask for comments here today. But we all know that 146 is a state highway. In the afternoon and the morning, it's a jam there at Oldham County Middle School. If you're trying to turn left to get into the school, it just clogs up everything. I'm going to ask that we consider, as a fiscal court, hiring our own engineering firm and designing our own turning lane there, paying for it ourselves if we can't get the state to do it. We can wait and wait and wait, and the problem will go on and on and on. We've got literally hundreds of parents every day who are extremely frustrated, and I don't want to have to spend our money to do it, but if we can't get the state to spend its money at this point, I think we need to step up, or certainly take a look at it. So I'm going to be bringing that up to the road committee and the rest of the magistrates, that we step up and do it ourselves. The other thing I want to mention is also problem. Have the courthouse has been fenced. Weir is ready to go. The demolition company is ready to go, but we brought into a problem with the building mover. The building mover bid approximately $800,000 to move that building. We had two bids on that. The second bid was $1.8 million. Since the job was awarded to the low bidder, the state has not signed a contract with the low bidder. The low bidder came back and said that they had insured the building's movement for only $250,000. That's far too little. If that building were to be damaged, we assume it wouldn't collapse or they wouldn't do it. But act of God, who knows what can happen? So, Project Development Board voted another $24,000 to raise the insurance on the building to $1.5 million. Now they have come back and said, well, to move that building, we're not exactly sure how we do that. We think we need to reinforce that with structural steel on the inside before we pick it up and move it. They have come back, and I received a message yesterday that the moving company wants another $500,000 to outfit that building with the structural steel. To say that the Project Development Board is both flattened and extremely enraged is probably an understatement. The issue is that the state that does not sign a contract with any of these providers until everybody's sure all the details are worked out with the low bidder. So we're sort of between a rock and a hard place here. They were the low bidder, $1 million less than the second low bidder, the only other bidder, but now they're jumping the price up on us because of this and that. The board is fully of the opinion that you should not have bid a job unless you knew exactly what it was going to cost. Isn't that reasonable expectation on all our parts? And but a contract has not been signed. So I don't know what's going to happen here. The Project Development Board we're trying to organize a special meeting of the board to consider this development. It's definitely going to put some additional time into the equation before the project begins. So I hate to have to bring that up, but it needs to be known by the public. It needs to be known by this fiscal court because the court committed additional funds to help do that. So we'll keep you posted on where that stands, but it's definitely, two, let's say, change orders. One, is just about ready to blow our head off. As you agree on.
The Project Development Board vote to increase the insurance amount without approval from the fiscal court.
Well, the Project Development Board actually is an independent board. The fiscal court is not required to vote for anything in relation to the board. Project Development Board is in control of the budget for the project.
Pulling out their wallets to make up this difference?
No, it just goes into the overall cost of the project. But the developer, the contract or the bid that went out said that the company that moved the project was supposed to have insurance. Well, they said they had insurance, but when the insurance amount was discovered, it
wasn't near enough.
So the option is to go with what they had or increase it to an amount that is about. So again, what are you going to do? As your face. No. Well, it has two judges and a lawyer, the circuit court clerk, a private individual, and me.
held up blackmail, if that's what I would call it. So we need to get the lawyers activated. If neither one of those three want to do it, then recommend a good firm, and I think we ought to address it.
Correct Mr. Carter on this. We're not lawyers or judges. He can
Not. That's the reason I suggested that if we had three lawyers on this board, that they ought to be thinking about that.
I think, didn't you say earlier when we were in a meeting, I can't remember, that the bid that went out did not have a value stated for the insurance, so the bidder picked a value. So I mean, I'm not quite sure that the bid document that went out may have been correct. I haven't read it, so I shouldn't say that, but I think after the fact is when you guys discovered that the insurance of $250,000 was the amount, which is obviously not going to rebuild.
Right. The bid document required the bidders to have insurance, but it didn't have a specific value in there. Okay. That I guess is debatable. Our attorneys on whether or not they should have had it in there will say that picking up and moving a building is not a common occurrence. So it's not, necessarily a negligence that the construction manager didn't have a number in there for it. But it's they asked for insurance, but it wasn't an amount that would hold up if something happened. So maybe nothing happens. You don't know. I mean, that's the gamble you take, I guess.
There's a legal term here that we all are very familiar with. I think it's called hoodooed. Hoodooed.
It's not a legal term.
Attorney, it just becomes simple. We're not attorneys.
Boy, it's hoodooed. It's hoodooed.
Around the board all you
well,
we need an attorney.
Right. The who you want to pin the tail on the donkey here at this point? Board members. The contracts and bidding documents are to be developed by the contract manager in cooperation with the administrative office of courts. And now they have built they built 70 courthouses. 6 people on this board haven't built any, or maybe some are connected to Henry County. So
Attorney, it's that simple. It's not in our
right.
hands.
That's where that is at this point. We'll see the story to be continued. Okay. For a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Adjourn.